A heart friend, upon his birthday, requested that we hear more about a certain divine being. The goddess of purity is a great being of light. Her aura fills vast regions of the earth and beyond in a quintessential light that is composed of concentrated, rarefied, celestial, pure light. When we enter her presence through meditation, we are charged, we are energized, and the highest points of perception of our God Self, our true Sun Source, can be ours to imbibe the radiant stream, the mother flow of that pure opalescent divine glow. The goddess of purity models for us a life of divine chastity, purity, and grace, wherein the virtue of the Divine Mother is brought to bear through the feminine touch of sublime joy, presence, and peace. When we are in our pure state of holiness, we access our highest selfhood. When we conceive of ourselves as God has conceived us in the pure state of our divinity, we naturally exude holy fragrances and these divine virtuous quintessences from our hearts and all of our chakras to be a God-conscious one and to engage in the living work of the Lord. The goddess of purity had her most illustrious embodiment upon the continent of Lemuria as a virgin queen. Virgin meaning that she carried the virgin consciousness of the Divine Mother. And she reigned for 70 years of our earth time and brought a harmonizing effect throughout all of that continent and way beyond unto vast regions of the earth through the simplicity of her awareness of God as purity and as light, through the inner joy that she carried in her step, through the virtuous deeds that she did and the perfection that she exemplified to all those in the realm. Now, when I say that she was a virgin queen, that civilization was different than our own. The governing bodies were different, and those with great attainment naturally rose to the estate of being these divine exemplars of virtue. And so she was chosen by her purity to be that one through whom light could radiate as a blessing to all peoples. Her day was one of divine adoration to the Source. And she so magnified the light of purity within her soul and her body temple that it was as if her body was translucent. And the clothes that she wore were indicative of this same energy field that she wielded through her electronic body. And she always wore white and or clothes that carried a type of crystalline coloration through gemstones that were very tiny, placed throughout her garments. And she often wore a type of white laurel wreath, for lack of a laurel garland in her hair with beautiful little tiny white flowers. Because she loved nature as well. The flowers in her gardens were primarily white, and her meditation upon the essence of each petal was such that she could imbibe what God placed within those flowers at an energetic level of her being in such a way that, being one with that plant and its higher nature, she was able to transfer and expand that floral essence throughout the nature kingdom in the realm that she lovingly guided. Her virtue was such that women from throughout the land came to simply be in her presence in a type of darshanic experience, for they received the flow through the currents of her mother light unto their hearts and souls, and were enlivened, inspired, blessed, simply by being there. She did discourse on all manner of teachings related to the light of purity and virtue, and of true motherhood and sisterhood. And women of that time, in that age, were so spiritually chaste in their thoughts and feelings that they gave birth to very high souls who brought from heaven the graces of the Spirit, because those mothers held a field of such beatific grace within their auras that they naturally magnetized these souls into their wombs and into the world. There were many temples of light on Lemuria, as we know, and the temple of purity was one that this great being known in that embodiment as Aoila, A-O-E-L-A, was able to work through in order to suffuse that light of purity through that temple, through the gardens around the temple, even concentrated in the pillars of the temple, which were iridescent and vibrating with a great frequency of light. The marble itself was translucent white, and it was as if by a divine law of beauty and grace, no dust settled within that temple. It was like self-cleaned by angel ministrant hands. And as the temple virgins and the Sisters of Light graced that temple with their presence through their prayers, through their singing, their adoration, their meditation, the virtue that was concentrated there was so powerful that there was a gentle hum, like the very subtle humming of bees that could be heard, that was a natural cleansing, healing, and harmonizing frequency. All of this, the goddess of purity in that lifetime held in her heart. She so loved the people that they cherished her with a very dear and loving spirit also. There was a type of camaraderie that was amazing to behold, and often in the temple there was a type of spiritual movement that was similar to what we now know as paneurythmy, where the virgins would gather in a circle, and through very gentle and graceful steps, arm movements, hand movements, and mudras, they were able to receive from very high spiritual beings certain quintessences that they consciously then redirected into the earth, into the land, into the four elements throughout nature. I can see in my mind's eye many, many celestial beings that took part in these divine experiences, these translucent beings that were there to activate and energize these frequencies through the conscious work of these temple virgins, all conducted at a certain higher energetic level by this great being, Eowila. When you desire greater virtue in your life, greater simplicity, you desire to move beyond the mass consciousness and the moorings of a very base world of ignorance, illusion, and simply be still in God's conscious awareness. You can call to the goddess of purity to create around you a cosmic veil of light as both a shield of energy, a protective flow field, and as a powerful grid through which these holy graces can flow to your hearts, your chakras, your being energetically, because of the very nature of that veil, which is compressed, concentrated, solar, crystalline light. It is like a crystal lattice work of diamond, fire, energy. And it is iridescent and translucent, and yet very powerful in its cosmic effects to allow you to be self-transformed through this beatific light of pure holiness and virtue. At times, after we engage with people in the world, we feel burdened. So when you return to your home, if you can simply have 5 minutes after you put your things away, sit upon your couch or your favorite chair or seat, and enter stillness, you can have this experience of being washed clean from the influences of the world, from the nonsense and the illusory materialistic ways, and have a refreshing of your spirit by this flow field that the Goddess of Purity allows you to know and to experience in this intimate time of celestial conversation and silence. I can see in this beautiful veil of light the intelligence of God as purity. It is instructive, even as it is protective and clearing and cleansing. And the intelligence within the diamond light of this beautiful flow field is such that you can receive specifically for you in each moment that you engage in this energy field consciously what you require for your initiatic path in that moment. It may be different every time you engage it and enter into it. It may be at some point simply a sense of peace. At others, a sense of your own holiness and your original virtue as a childlike being. At other times, it may come as a wave of great light to engulf you in a transcendent feeling that moves you past momentums, habit patterns that are detrimental to your path, and it empowers you to move beyond a sense of limitation or a rut or an issue that you have dealt with for years or decades or lifetimes. There are many nuances of the energetic field and its sacred ability to transform you that you can meditate upon with the Goddess of Purity to allow for the self-transformative spiritual fires to be yours in powerful new ways. You can enter higher dimensions in meditation through this sacred lattice work of light. It is almost like an entree point into the divine supramundane worlds for you to unfold within those worlds in your natural estate as a divine being. You may bring the currents and the graces of spirit back into this world consciously when you can maintain a certain stability of awareness during these times of meditation that can be very energetically pleasing to you. She will make your personality more pleasing to others through divine etiquette that you may be able to cognize, as these graces of the Spirit naturally are endowed within your being by the mothers of heaven. You can have access to greater inspirational words that can flow through your voice and through your speech patterns to others. They can transform certain aberrations in the way that you speak, that you relate to people, that may in the past have been problematic. If you have tendencies to irritate people at times through various things that you've accumulated in the storehouse of your human consciousness, many of these can be naturally dissolved by the grace of purity that is an ongoing cleansing and beatifying light, radiance that flows through your auric field, that blesses you as it blesses others, that graces the auras of others and makes them feel that you are very hospitable and gentle and kind. People may be magnetized to you when you spend 5 or 10 minutes in this energetic field of purity with the goddess of purity. And that magnetism is a spiritual, divine magnetism. It is not of the human personality. It is truly born of integrity and inner grace. You, if you are a male, can have a greater modeling of and mastery of your feminine side, the mother light of your own being. And if at times you have noticed that you may engage in a certain gruff or very intense masculine type of demeanor, or the way in which you speak or relate to people is almost too masculine and too macho, the goddess of purity will assist you in transmuting those rough edges and in very naturally beautifying your spiritual bodies, your auric field, so that people are comfortable in your presence. In order to entertain angels awares, we can incorporate the virtues of God into our life. When we name the virtues, when we relate to the virtues, when we imbibe them through pranic breathing, through solar gazing, through our prayers, and not just the prayers in our Heart Center prayer book, but ones that we create very lovingly in our gentle invocations, in times of communion with God and our source. We enrich our lives with a new spiritual power of beingness. The goddess of purity encourages all of us to create these I am statements, whereby we claim our own divinity, our own inner purity, the holy chastity of our souls and spirits in God. She was constantly in that lifetime communing with the Source at a very high level and frequency in order to bring these quintessences into the world through her heart and consciousness. And so she would sing little melodies of light created in the moment that would allow the flow of purity to glow within the world at large. When you erase the sense of burden in your world and allow grace to alight upon and within you, the Goddess of Purity comes and engages you in a new divine game of the Spirit. And you can, through friendship with her, cherishment of her, communion with her, enter a new life, a new world of hope, perfection, and grace. I pray that every heart friend receive this day a spiritual blessing from the Goddess of Purity through her modeling of what it means and is to be a true mother of life. And that in that mothering spirit, where love is present, that we can grow our movement through that love and appreciation and charity that we exemplify to others. So thank you for listening and being in the light during this release, which may be the first in a number of offerings from the heart of the Goddess of Purity. Let us sing that beautiful prayer, 40.001 now, with our recording. I am Purity's love. Goddess of purity always be, mother, friend, and guide to me. Let radiant innocence of my heart, purity's fullness now impart. I am purity, I can be, in love and truth, in harmony. I am purity, I can be, one who sees immaculately. Help me anchor greater light, my aura dazzling, holy white. Help me know myself as love, and love all life as God above. I am purity, I can be, in love and truth, in harmony. I am purity, I can be, one who sees immaculately. I see the light of God's own image shining through my eyes and vision.
propensity to flight. I am purity, I can be in love and truth, in harmony. I am purity, I can be one who sees immaculately. God's reality now seal round me, and bright hope reveal. O radiance of immortal fire, my chakras clear, my heart inspires. I am purity, I can be in love, in truth, in harmony. I am purity, I can be one who sees immaculately. Let each child know by mercy's ours, he is the purity God desires. And every blessed mother to be sealed in fires of purity. Protect and guide them, let them feel our essence, God's own love is real. Our essence, God's own love